Innocent or exonerated? World leaders who defied the ICC. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has been one of the most powerful institutions in modern history, bringing world leaders to trial for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. But while the ICC is known for prosecuting figures like Slobodan Milosevic, Charles Taylor, and Omar al-Bashir, there's another side of the story that rarely gets told. What happens when a leader is found not guilty? In a world where justice is often intertwined with politics, have any world leaders ever faced ICC charges and walked free? The answer is more complicated than you think. Let us investigate. The ICC. Guilty until proven innocent. The ICC was founded in 2002 with the goal of prosecuting individuals responsible for the most heinous crimes. Unlike national courts, the ICC only has jurisdiction when a country is unwilling or unable to prosecute crimes on its own. But here's the problem. Once the ICC issues a warrant against a leader, the stigma alone is enough to destroy reputations, end careers, and sometimes even topple governments. Fact. Since its creation, the ICC has charged more than 40 individuals, but only a handful of them have been acquitted or had their charges dropped. This raises a crucial question. Is the ICC truly a court of justice, or does it operate more like a political weapon? Let's look at some of the most notable cases where world leaders fought back and won. World leaders who were cleared by the ICC. 1. Laurent Gbagbo, acquitted after 8 years in detention. Who? Former President of Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. Charges? Crimes against humanity. 2011 post-election violence. Outcome? Acquitted in 2019, Laurent Gbagbo was the first former head of state to be taken into ICC custody. After a brutal civil conflict in 2010 to 2011, where 3,000 people were killed, he was accused of orchestrating violence to cling to power. But here's what the ICC didn't expect. The case against him collapsed. The evidence was weak, and key witnesses contradicted themselves. The ICC failed to prove that Gbagbo directly ordered crimes. After 8 years in ICC detention, he was found not guilty. His release shook confidence in the ICC's ability to prosecute world leaders fairly. Critics argued that the case was politically motivated and that the ICC had acted too quickly, without sufficient proof. 2. Jean-Pierre Bemba, from convicted to cleared. Who? Former Vice President of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Charges? War crimes and crimes against humanity. Outcome? Convicted in 2016, but overturned in 2018. Jean-Pierre Bemba was initially sentenced to 18 years in prison for crimes committed by his militia in the Central African Republic. It was a landmark case, the first time the ICC convicted a leader for crimes committed by troops under his command. But 2 years later, in 2018, the ICC's appeals chamber overturned his conviction. Judges ruled that Bemba could not be held responsible for all the crimes committed by his troops. His conviction was based on flawed legal reasoning. The decision undermined the ICC's credibility, raising concerns about selective justice. This case proved that not every ICC prosecution is airtight. In fact, sometimes the ICC gets it wrong. 3. Uhuru Kenyatta, charges dropped. Who? Former President of Kenya. Charges? Crimes against humanity. Post-election violence in 2007 to 2008. Outcome? Case dropped due to lack of evidence. Uhuru Kenyatta became the first sitting president to appear before the ICC in 2014. He was accused of orchestrating mass violence that killed over 1,200 people during the 2007 Kenyan elections. But here's what happened next. the case collapsed due to lack of evidence. Witnesses withdrew or recanted their statements. Some even disappeared. The ICC admitted they didn't have enough proof to continue. Kenyatta walked free, and the case left a huge black mark on the ICC's credibility. Many in Kenya believed the charges were politically motivated, while others saw it as a failure of the court to protect witnesses. Is the ICC fair, or is it selective justice? Looking at these cases, we see a pattern. 1. The ICC has successfully prosecuted some leaders. 2. But it has also wrongly detained and accused others, only to drop charges later. This raises the biggest question. Is the ICC truly serving justice? Or does it sometimes act based on political pressure and global influence? Criticisms of the ICC. 1. It disproportionately targets African leaders. Out of 40+ cases, most have been against African nations. 2. It lacks enforcement power. Many leaders ignore the ICC with no consequences, e.g., Russia's Vladimir Putin. 3. It relies on political cooperation. The ICC only succeeds when national governments comply. 4. It sometimes prosecutes without enough evidence, as seen in Gbagbo, Bemba, and Kenyatta's cases. The future of the ICC. Who's next? The ICC is still actively investigating multiple world leaders. Some may be convicted, but others may be found innocent, just like Gbagbo, Bemba, and Kenyatta. So, who's next? Philippine ex-President Rodrigo Duterte. Will the ICC successfully prosecute new cases, or will more leaders walk free? Will powerful countries like the US, China, and Russia ever face ICC trials? Is the ICC still a force for justice, or is it losing its credibility? One thing is certain. The world is watching. Justice isn't always black and white. The International Criminal Court has held some of the world's most notorious leaders accountable. But history has also shown us that not every case is as solid as it seems. Some walk free, some are convicted, and some never even face trial. So, where do we draw the line between justice and political influence? Does the ICC truly serve as a global force for accountability? Or is it sometimes used as a weapon against certain leaders while others remain untouchable? Now it's your turn. What do you think? Should the ICC be reformed? Should world leaders always be subject to international courts? Or should nations have full sovereignty over their own justice systems? Thank you for joining me in this important discussion on world justice. In a time when global accountability and sovereignty are constantly being challenged, conversations like these matter more than ever. Your thoughts, your questions, and your perspective help shape the bigger picture. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's continue exploring the truth together. See you in the next one.